So I got her, y'all. I got my wife to come from behind the scenes and brought her into the forefront. So this is a special treat. So I'm excited to be able to share with you all the conversation that I had with my wife on transitions. This is Tracylee Coleman. Enjoy. Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
I am doing well, thank you. How are you today?
I'm good. It's funny, on the way here, I was actually thinking about how once upon a time you would not have, well, I don't want to say you wouldn't have done it, but you would have been much more reluctant to actually do this, because I think you've been very vocal about the fact that being in front of cameras and like public attention and things of that sort, like, is not your thing. And so I was like, well, I actually want to ask her about what changed and what that transition has been like for you.
That's good. I would say it's not that I don't want to, it just has to be on my terms.
Oh,
so it's like I want to be in control of what's out there. Like, I don't just like to show up or be caught off guard. I'm very, I guess it's, I don't know how to put it. Like, it's one of the things I'm going to say that the Lord is working on me with, because I am very much someone who needs to be in control. I need to be in control of what's happening. So anytime you kind of surprise anything on me, it will kind of make me freeze up or tense up, and then I can't be as natural.
And that's good surprises too, though.
Right, good surprises too, yeah. Like, it's like, oh my goodness, because I don't put on. So anything is liable to come out if you catch me at the wrong time. So even though I'm saved, you know that you say? I'm kidding. I was going to say, you know that shirt, I love Jesus, but I cuss a little. Right, I don't really cuss, but you may catch me saying some off-putting things. So I just like to be in control, and so that's what it is. But I'm slowly breaking out of it, because I know that there are things that I need to do that would require stuff like this. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to get better at being more comfortable and being okay if people catch a moment that's not so polished.
But how do you think, I'm actually really curious about this, how do you think you now have gotten to the place of saying, I'm normally in control, or I would like to be in control, maybe that's a better way to say that. I would like to be in control, but I also want to do other things in my life, and I think that this is hindering. How do you get from that to where you are now, where it's like, all right, I'm trying to learn to be okay?
Trusting the process and trusting God. I should have put trusting God first and then trusting the process.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think, like, I know without a shadow of a doubt that He's called me to do certain things. So I think it's just finding that peace with it and that courage that He's got you. Like, even if you, like, I think Oprah said it once. Like, I think she fell, or her stockings had a run. She was like, which woman never had a run in her stockings?
Yeah.
Like, if you fall, if you flounder, or whatever it is you may do, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you'll regroup and move. Right. And so it's not like I'm looking for perfection, but I do know that I have some things that if it's not quite the way I envisioned it, then it's not good enough. So I think that was letting go of those things and just trusting, like, it's going to be what it's going to be, and that's okay.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this, but yesterday, there was this moment, like, where in church you did something that you haven't done. I've been pastoring for 6 years, and I think this was the first time, to my recollection, that you were like, hey, in the middle of the service, I have something that I believe that I need to share with the people. And I thought, for me, it was like, oh, that's a marked difference. Like, that was, I feel like life has these moments that are like, oh no, this is a significant moment that marks a change in somebody's being. And for me, it was like, oh no, this is different. This is not a moment. This is, for me, it was a sign of what the Lord was doing for you privately. So, like, what was that like for you to just be like, I'm going up there and I'm gonna say what I have to say, because I feel like I'm led to say that in this moment?
Well, it's not the first time.
It's not the first time?
No,
okay.
It's the second time.
Okay. You said it like it was 8.
Right. No. It's the second time, but it's been multiple times that He's asked me to do that, and I fight, because I'll say to God, no, it's not like I don't know if the people are gonna get that, like, or is it really you? And doing this back and forth thing, but I promised God, I forget when it was exactly, but I promised him a little while ago that I wouldn't debate with him anymore. Like, I'm tired of wrestling with him all the time. And again, it's that control. It's like, if it doesn't sound this way, or I don't think the people are gonna receive it this way, but it's like, it's okay. And even afterwards, I'm like, I don't know, but that first time somebody came and said it was for them, and the second time it happened again yesterday that somebody said that was a word for them. And so I think that helps, but I need to be okay whether that confirmation comes or not.
That's the point.
And then I think, but it was nice because I think God wants me to just step out there and do what he says. And I'm not going to be timid, as I'm trying not to be as timid anymore. I'm just trying to really move with him. Like, God and I've been through so much. He's brought me this far, and I can't now start second guessing everything. And it's comforting, and it's freeing, but it's still these moments that when you're gone or you're by yourself, it's like, oh, you thought that sounded good? Oh, you know, like, oh, you gonna do that again? You know, whatever. So it's just working through that.
But I think some of that, at least for me, has been learning to live with that. You know, I think that we think that there's gonna be a moment where I'm not gonna think that anymore, where I'm not gonna worry about if I said that right or what. There is not and I do this for a living, right, at this point. There's not a Sunday that goes by that I'm not like, man, was that good? Did I say that right? I think the difference is I've gotten to the point where I'm not gonna let it hinder me, because I gotta go on to the next thing. And I can't let what somebody did receive or didn't receive, or what I did wrong, maybe I did do something wrong or say something wrong, but I can't let that hinder me from the next move. And I think for me, what I've seen with myself, and I think what I'm starting to even see with you, is that at some point you've got to accept that life is just full of transition. That's what it is, right? And there's these ebbs and flows. Like, there are things that come in that are great, and there's some things that go back out that are not so great, and it's just a part of the process. And I think the people who succeed are the people who learn how to navigate the shifts, because the shifts are going to come regardless. But how do we navigate the shifts? Like, when you think about like the ocean, which I know you love, right? When you think about the ocean, we know that the tides are going to come, right? The tides are coming. But so, okay, I know that the tides are coming, but the speed of the tides, the size of the waves, all of that stuff is different. So you can't predict the patterns. I know that it's coming, but I can't predict the patterns. And at some point in time, you really have to resolve that, like, if I'm going to enjoy this experience of being in this water, I know that I have to go along with whatever kind of is coming my way and learn how to kind of surf. Right. I have to learn how to surf the waves. And I feel like I've hit my stride now in that. I think that, if I'm honest, I think it took me quite some time to get there. And I think what's deceiving sometimes for people is because you can be trying to figure out how to do that, and to the public eye, it's a done deal. You got this going on. But internally, it's like, no, I'm actually drowning, and you just don't know that I'm actually drowning in this. So I feel like I'm now kind of like, let's surf. And I think with surfing, you're gonna fall. You know that, but you're gonna get back up and, like, do the thing. Like, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That was good. I was thinking about when you did use the example of the ocean. It's like that I won't go in so far, or I will just avoid it altogether and just watch from afar.
Yeah.
And I think I found myself doing that a lot. It's like, at one point I was fine, and then all of a sudden something happened, and then it, like, changed things up for me. Now, I've never been somebody who's always comfortable with any particular thing, but with this kind of stuff, I knew that, you know, I thought I was doing pretty good, and then I guess there was something that must have happened. I can't pinpoint it at the moment. But something happened that allowed me now, like a fall. Like, you remember that time, as you used the ocean, that I fell in the, you know, it was like, oh no, like, she may be drowning.
She must be going, y'all.
And so those things then make you tread lightly the next time. Like, you know, this is a real deal. And I think that's part of it. It's like, if something happens and it kind of triggers like that feeling,
Yep.
it's like, oh, it's nice to look at. Like, I'll admire people from afar, but know that's my place too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, get back in the water, get back in, so that you can really feel like you're okay. Just like that man, the lifeguard, so he hold my hand, grab my hand. Like, that's God. Like, it's like, hold my hand. I got you. You're going to make it. And even if you, like, feel like something happens, like the embarrassing moment, like making sure my bathing suit was still up, like, because that's how hard that wave hit. Like, sometimes it's those moments when life hits you hard, it can kind of make you like, no, I was good. No, I don't want to go through that again. I think about our children. I think seeing their excitement or how we push them to do certain things, especially Brianna. Jonathan has it too, but she has this way of just doing stuff. And it's like, I'm supposed to be their example, one of their examples. And how am I like gonna be her example if I'm cowering every moment? And I'm telling her, go out there, use your voice, do this. And then it's like, Mommy, why aren't you? Like, she'll say that all the time. Like, Mommy, didn't you lead Bible class one time? And says, yes, one time. And then she'll ask all these questions. And it's like, first of all, how do you even remember that?
Yeah.
But like those are moments that say like, right. That she has this example, and it's almost been the opposite. Like, she's been my example to say, get back. You want to encourage and you want to be an example to so many, but you can't be that hiding or looking at the water from the shore. You got to get in.
Yeah, I think, like, speaking of that, I think that it's easy to kind of resort to personality, right? Like, to say, well, that's just not my personality. Or even like when you comparing Brianna to Jonathan, Brianna is a jump in, Jonathan's like, I'm good. And I do think some of that is personality, but I think it's dangerous when we allow our personality to choke out our destiny, right? Like, there are things that we are destined to do, but our personality can actually cripple us if we believe that I have to own this space as an introvert, or I have to own this space as somebody who's antisocial. I don't own that, like, or I don't allow that to own me. I think maybe that's a better way to say that. Because when it's all said and done, I want the things that God wants from me. I want the things that I've been called to do. I want to do the things that I even enjoy to do. I also want to do the things that I don't enjoy to do. Because I found that really some of the greatest lessons have come from me doing the things that I don't want to do. Now, I may still decide later on, I don't ever want to do that thing again. But there is something that I gained in the process of just trying it and seeing. Like, I mean, even this show, I still don't even actually know what I'm doing right now. Like, literally, this was a wake up, had a thought, and said, all right, let's get it done. I don't know what platform I don't know any of that. I don't have to. All I know is I feel like I was supposed to do this. I'm jumping out and doing it, and I will figure it out as I go along. It's interesting because as parents, we're always pushing our children to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And we're often encouraging them that they can actually do anything that they desire. Yet sometimes that's not the example that we set. And so even as I sat in dialogue with my wife, I think that I am encouraged by her desire to not just tell our children to be what she's not willing to be. And so I think in doing that, we see that the words are not as important as our actions are. And so, yeah, I'm loving it right now. I think sometimes the mess up is in not showing people that you can mess up.
Right.
Like, I know people who are bound because they never saw their parents mess up.
Right.
I know people who are bound because they never saw their pastors, their leaders mess up. And I think that there is a lesson not just in the things that we succeed in, but there's a lesson for people even in the things that we fail in. And I think even the idea of just trying something actually might change the perspective of something being a failure to actually being a success. To me, it's a success that you actually ventured out to do something that you wanted to do, that you thought that you felt called to do, and you did it. And maybe it came up short by some standard, but I actually did it. And what's crazy is, sorry, I feel like I'm about to go up.
Okay.
What's crazy is most of the people that we're running from are the people that are on the sidelines. People who are actually busy living their lives and accomplishing the things that they desire don't have much to say about you because I'm too busy focusing on my stuff to actually be concerned about your stuff. And so it's crazy how we allow low-level people to stop us from reaching higher. Not doing that anymore. And I think that, I'm so stirred right now because I really feel like I've gotten to a place now in my life. And when I say now, probably now, like right now, I think I've gotten to a place in my life I'm unapologetic about living life. You don't like the hair color? Okay, don't do it for yourself. Like, but for me, I'm gonna do the thing that I think within reason. I'm not wilding in the streets. I'm not doing nothing crazy. But I am. But the things that I feel like, hey, it's okay if I'm going to do it. I'm going to live unapologetically. And I think we need more people to do that.
I agree. Well, I'll be one of those. I am one of those.
Come on and join me.
I am one of those. It's taking me a little time to just get my footing again and just know that, like you said, even if I mess up, it's okay. And I love that too. Like, even in our mess ups, somebody can get something, gain from it, as well as like we'll gain from it as well. And just know I tried that. At least try something once. I tell our children that, like when they don't want to eat certain things, it's like try it once. Because unless it's like monkey brains, I'll try something at least once if I'm not allergic to it. But there's certain things that I just won't eat, but you won't know if you like something. You won't know if you will succeed. You just got to get over that first part of being scared or a little intimidated even. Like, you just have to try.
But it's crazy because I'm thinking about even that food situation, because that's even a transition thing as well, right? Like, babies eat, they eat baby food. They drink milk, and they end up eating jar food. And even the jar food has stages because you recognize that everything has to transition. My palate has to change. And when you don't expose children, we know this, when we don't expose them to different textures and different tastes and all that kind of stuff, actually it's like their palate is stunted because you didn't actually transition them to something that is greater. And I think adults we're the same way. I think that when you don't expose your palate to more, what are you laughing at?
Go ahead.
When you don't expose your palate to more, I think that you get stuck. Like, there's a cap on what it is that you believe that you're able to accomplish. And I want to know what you're laughing at.
I was just thinking, because you were talking about food, and I said, this is what I was saying to EJ earlier, is that why would you pick for us to eat? Because you know how you love to get on me when natural things happen. So I was chuckling to myself. I was like, girl, just make sure you go slow, because you don't want to know, they don't have to edit. It's like, why was it paused or quiet for that moment? Because they were editing out a burnt person. Okay, that's why I was chuckling to myself. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but that's real too. But
then I'll become a meme, and that's what I'm talking about, right? I'll be a meme now. Somebody, right? And that's that fear, right?
I mean, that's especially right. I get afraid of that too.
Well, let me tell you this too. I know this for sure. I think I became more apprehensive once there was more access to things. Like,
I get that.
When it was just simple, when you didn't have everything recorded, and it was just if you were there, you caught it. Maybe somebody videoing it, but like not being on. Now somebody can post with your video, and, stuff like that. And I think that has also caused me to be very apprehensive, because it's like stuff don't go away. Like, once something's out there, it's out there. And I think that's what it is. Some of the apprehension has been for me is like certain things being put out again, especially if I have no control over it.
Yeah.
And it's been hindering, but I'm trying to get over it. Like, even with that, it's like, you have, again, like I gave you the example of Oprah, like, who hasn't done this? And if they feel like they want, listen, let them make you famous then with the meme. Like, just live, just be. But that was one of my greater apprehensions.
I'm very nervous. I think that there is one day I'm going to end up on the Church of Laughs, because I do a lot of stuff that's like, why did you actually do that publicly? And so I try not to actually... You come on in. I try not to even be mindful of that. Thank you. I think that people can get really caught up in the romanticism of marriage, and I think that's important. But I think that we forget that literally we are sharing some aspects of purpose. We're sharing some aspects of purpose. And so in order to do that, sometimes one does have to take a slightly different route and a slightly different role, while somebody else really is reaching for
that goal that is near, that is close. And so I really hope that people are really walking away with the fact that there is some sacrifice that is made in the pursuit of the things that we desire. But when two people are walking together, you can do that in a way that doesn't limit the other person. It just might postpone some things. I would also say that sometimes that postponement is actually a setup for the other person, that as I do this and as I get solid in this area, it serves as a platform for you to do the things that you desire to do eventually.
I mean, I'm sure you've talked about this before, but what is one of your greatest joys about some of the transitions that you've had, like more recent, like, you know, like I know you know the call that was for your life, but you have had other amazing things happen. Like, how have you been like enjoying, or like what's the differences? Like, how do you feel about it all?
So that's a good question. So I feel challenged in a good way, right? So I find myself like vacillating between different worlds and trying to navigate the shifts literally in a day between church work or being a manager or working for somebody else's company, right? Which I think to some degree actually helps me to not, like, in some areas to have no one above me. In other ways, I have people to answer to. And I think that really helps to balance me out, like where it's not like all just about what I think.
Right.
So I think that's been good. I think honestly, my greatest fulfillment has really been in watching other people watch me.
Okay.
Because I think the testimony that I'm getting back is that people feel less restricted, that they really can do everything that the Lord is calling them to do, and that they don't have to be stuck in, you know, one thing. I think one of my desires really also in all of this is really, as it relates to our children, like for them to really be able to see that, hey, there's absolutely no limitations for you, like none. And I think, and this is the way it's supposed to happen. So this is not like a woe is me story, but like to see that our kids have a platform to stand on that we did not have, right? Like there are things that they're just given that we had to work for, like good parents, great parents, but still there was some things that was like, I got to figure that out on my own because my parents they actually don't even have the capacity to help me in this specific area. And I think it was true of the generation before that, right? My parents would say the same thing, that there was a platform that they stood on that their parents never got a chance to stand on. And so when I think about that, I'm like, oh, like I didn't have examples of business owners, you know, in my immediate family, at least. I didn't have that example. We didn't talk about anything like that. They worked and you worked until you retired, and that was just that on that. So I think for our children to be able to see multiple businesses, right? For them to be able to see, not to be able to see the multiple businesses, but also to be able to see that they're not just financial ventures,
right,
but they're purposeful ventures. I think that for me, like that kind of makes it all kind of worth it. Now, I will say the other part of that is it's exhausting. Like it's exhausting because there's almost never a time that I'm not doing something, like until I'm ready to go to sleep. Like I'm doing something. And so there's some exhaustion in that. I think when I think of that, I think of that as a finite amount of time, right? Like I'm not going to do this for forever, right? And so for this season, this is what this looks like. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but I know right now this is the way that it is. At some point in time, it'll shift, it'll adjust, something will fall off, something else will grow and replace. There'll be shifts that happen. And so it's kind of like back to that surfing. Surf this wave right now. You don't know how long the wave is going to last. Surf it and then, see what the next step is going to be. So that's where I'm at with it.
Very good. And yeah, with our children, it's funny, The word said that a
Thank
child
you.
shall lead them. Every time I hear our son talk about being in the NBA, and I think
My
about
God.
our natural restrictions and our height.
My God.
But he believes he's going to be tall. But it's to see him believe that thing, it is encouraging. And it's like, listen, that's why God said have faith like a little child, because his faith encourages my, he could make it to the NBA for all I know.
Well, that's the thing I was thinking about recently. Not only could he make it, but the thing is, you know, I'm get Bible for a second. Like, we prophesy in part and we know in part. And so he may make it to the NBA. It may not be the way he thought it was, right? And so maybe he's not going to be on the floor, but he's an owner, or he's a sportscaster, or he's what. So I feel like, as much as I hear him say that, I'll never, in my mind, I might have some thoughts.
Right.
But I will never tell him that he can't do it, because I do know that those things sometimes adjust. They morph into something that we didn't know. Like, for example, you just, to bring it back to what you just were talking to me about, I managed artists as a kid. It was a passion of mine as a kid. I had 17 singing groups as a kid. I thought I was gonna sing at some point in time as a kid. I didn't know, like, if somebody squashed that in me, I wouldn't have kept staying closely connected to the music industry.
Right.
I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, managing artists. I didn't see it that way.
Right.
And I shouldn't even just say managing artists, right? I don't know if you know this. So, Naomi's new project is coming out, Journey. I did enough work on that project that I'm actually an executive producer on that project.
Oh, wow.
And so, didn't set out to be an executive producer.
Right.
It wasn't something that we talked about. And that's the thing. That's the thing that I want to talk about. Like, sometimes you just have to take it step by step, because you don't know what something is going to become. I didn't set out to be an executive producer of a project. I helped on a song, and then I helped on another song, and then I wrote another song, and then I wrote another song. And before we knew it, look at what has happened, right? And so I think sometimes we're trying to grab hold of something that's too big for us to grab hold of, and that's why it slips out of our hands. Just grab hold of one step at a time, and eventually you will land exactly where you're supposed to be. And so that's how I feel. I feel like I'm landing where I'm supposed to be. And when it's time to shift, we'll shift. Thanks for watching this episode of Talk to Me, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a single thing, and we will catch you at the next talk.